Hey guys, this should be a pretty helpful video for you guys working on the interior of your 928. Mine is a 88 S4, so even though mine is a S4 car, I'm pretty sure that a lot of what I share today will be applicable to the earlier models, you know, the 79 through 87 models, of course. So anyway, what I'm doing today, yeah, and it looks like a bomb kind of went off in here, but not too bad, is I'm replacing my digital clock, which does not work. The LCD is completely shot. At the same time, I'm going to make use of the opportunity and put in 2 new power window switches on a sunroof switch, and yeah, I just kind of clean things up in the center console here. This is actually the first time I'm doing this, and it was actually pretty straightforward, not hard at all. So I'll go through it really quickly with you guys. It'll take you probably 10 or 15 minutes to get to the point where I am now, and it's really not that bad. So I'll just kind of walk you through what needs to be removed. The cool thing is you can do this entire thing with pretty much a Phillips screwdriver and a set of the Harbor Freight Tools plastic interior toolkit, which are, you know, these guys here, which are a lifesaver so it doesn't damage clips and things like that. So anyway, a few tips and tricks for this video, and I'm trying to remember everything I did. But it's pretty straightforward. So step number 1, and I'll try and point. It's kind of dark in here in my garage, but I have my Harbor Freight tool flashlight with me as well to help brighten things up. But I'll point along the way. So the first step for me was to remove the shift boot right here. This car has a short shifter, as you can see, which I do not like. It actually it just doesn't have a good feel or travel, so I'm actually going to remove it and install the stock shifter, which I actually much prefer. So that's just a by the way. But anyway, to remove the shift lever, which is this guy right here, all you have to do is pull up towards you or towards the sunroof, and it'll come out. So that's good. Very straightforward. So that's what it looks like on the underneath. It's just a friction fit with all these little plastic clips here. Under the shift lever, you're gonna have this little rubber piece, and mine is in kind of rough shape, but that's just sitting on top of the tunnel. That comes right out, and it's damaged. Anyway, so I'll have to get probably another one of those. Then afterwards, you're left with this guy, which sits in here. This is basically the trim piece that goes around the tunnel or the center console. And it also, in my case, the digital clock sits right here like that. And then the 2 holes that you see in the left and right side, they're for the rear AC. So that's what it looks like when it's all assembled. To get this piece out, this frame out, is actually not too bad. You'll need to actually, let me see. Here's if you have rear AC, this is what you got to do. I don't know if this will come up in the video, but you'll see there is a where is it? Okay, here we go. Holding this switch in place here is this guy right here. Can you see that? And you'll see it has 2 slits cut out in it. You take a small flat-edge screwdriver and then turn it counterclockwise, as if you are just unscrewing it. And these are not on very tight at all. And you just keep turning it counterclockwise until they just pop off, and you do that on both sides. And then you'll be left with here are all the pieces that go. So this guy will go into the top of the switch, and it actually kind of, once it's all assembled, it's like this. Let me put it together for you. So it goes like this, and that sits on top like that. That's what it looks like when it's all installed. So it actually comes together. These just pull out, so they're fairly straightforward. They just pull out, and so then once these switches are out, then you just push it in, and that gives you access to the digital clock. And the digital clock is actually sandwiched under this guy here. I hope this makes sense. To get this actual frame piece out, guys, it's simple. You just take your Harbor Freight tool like this and pry it up on the corners here like this, and it comes out. Don't force it. It might be a little bit hard, but it'll come out. These are just friction fit. There's no clips, there's nothing, there's no screws. So it'll just pop out, and then it just comes out. Just take your time. And it's like I said, this is a sandwich fit, the digital clock, and that gives you access to the digital clock after that. Right here, there's enough harness wire that you can actually start disconnecting the clock and then put the new one in. I've noticed that you can buy brand new clocks or reconditioned clocks on eBay for like 120, 150 bucks. So one thing I noticed about, which is cool with Porsche, their harness connections, these spade connections, are very tight. So take your time to remove them, and usually you have to wiggle them out with a needle nose and they'll come out. But if you try and pull them out with your fingers, one, you're gonna rip up your fingers, and two, you may damage the actual wire. So just take your time removing those guys, and then the clock will come out. If you want to go ahead and do anything like pulling out the power window switches, it's going to require a bit more work. You have to actually physically loosen the entire tunnel like I have here. You can see the whole thing is loose, just sitting here. That requires loosening the glove box. I took off the glove box lid, which is pretty straightforward. You have to take off the hinge, which is somewhere down here on the floor, right here. Here's the hinge. It's a couple of Allen head screws, long ones, in the center, and then there's two screws on either end, left and right end, to remove the top of the glove box. Then you have to remove the door, which are 3 screws right here at the bottom, which is under here, and then you should be able to pull the glove box forward towards you. Now is a good time to replace that blown bulb like I have right there, and clean up any dust and stuff like that. You can see mine is kind of grungy, dirty. Again, just be careful with the wires, guys. There's the wires for the light, and then here's also the plunger switch right here. There's the wiring there. Be careful with that. So anyway, so once you do that, the glove box will come forward. To remove this actual center console, you have to take out the Phillips screw that's through that hole there, and then you have to remove the carpet panel that sits along the side right here. Fairly straightforward. It's just a bunch of it's a few Allen screws, again, just holding it in place. You remove it on both sides, and then that panel, which is right over here, there's a panel. You can see there's one screw right there. There's another screw right there. It just slides forward, or in this case rearward, and it comes out. And after that, you have a couple of screws under here, both on either side, to remove, and then the whole console will just be loose like this. If you want to remove the entire console, you'll have to take out the HVAC unit here, which pries out. And then depending on what kind of stereo you have in the car, and these cars all have aftermarket stereos now, or most of them, that may have to come out as well. So then you can go to town after that. But anyway, once a console is loose, you have lots of room here to access these switches, and you have the opportunity to replace a non-working switch or put in a new switch with new scripts, which is what I'm gonna do. And just remember, guys, that the harness wires for these switches are actually soldered to the switch. It's not like the Mercedes-Benz and BMWs of the time where the switch just comes up by itself, leaving the harness. It has the here's the whole harness plug that's actually soldered to the switch. So everything comes out as one piece. And the best way to remove these guys is from the underneath. Once you have it loose like this, you can pry it from the bottom. You see how it's coming out there? It'll actually just pop out. So pretty easy. And yeah, that should help you. And if you have any other questions or comments, let me know. And I'm gonna keep working on the 928. I'm taking a little break from the show.